What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Break the Cycle podcast. I am your host, Abe, and this is your co host. I'm just kidding, the main host.
I'm we're both hosts, but I'm Jenny. I'm a weight loss and mindset coach. Um, and your mindset and movement coach, I would
Mindset and
say.
movement coach, yes.
Abraham specializes in movement more. And I obsess over nutrition, but most importantly, your mindset, because I think that's very important. So if you guys don't know that, now you guys do.
Yeah.
So today we are going to start with simple steps that you can take on your journey when you don't have time. Okay. This one's going to be very interesting. So, you want me to start?
I can start.
Okay, go.
So we're going to start with NEAT, which is called your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And she's really proud of me because I remembered what it was.
I always have to correct him. He's like, wait, what? Like, how many times do we have to go over this, sir?
Yeah, for real. But no, so non-exercise activity thermogenesis really just means like, how much activity do you have throughout your day? Are you moving a lot? Are you walking at all? Are you gardening? Are you cleaning? That type of stuff matters and adds up over time, especially if you don't have the time to go to the gym and exercise. You can pick up a hobby that'll get you moving more around the house, like maybe rearrange your furniture, move the furniture to get underneath the couches and that type of stuff. That is a huge workout. We get the kids involved in that. And we also, work up a sweat when we start doing this stuff too, because it actually takes some energy to wipe the counters down, wipe down your freaking, what are they called? Where you put your counter, your cupboards. Yeah, I was going to say cupboards. I wasn't trying to use that word, but I was trying to say like, what is it? Pantry, shelves. I don't know. Cabinets. There we go. So, wipe down your cabinets. That type of stuff takes energy. And if you are just sitting around at home, not doing anything, Netflixing and chilling all the time, you're not really burning any calories with your non-exercise activity thermogenesis or stuff that you do at home, right? So that is very important that we pick up the activity, like get a walk in, move around, do some stretching, something like that. But did I hit it good, babe?
Yeah, you did. Well, this is why NEAT is so important and why it's going to contribute to your fat loss goals, weight loss goals, whatever you want to call it, right? We're just trying to lose some weight, start to get moving and start to feel better. But NEAT is going to be the biggest contributor to your weight loss goals overall. Like, even if you don't train, just picking up a habit of adding additional movement throughout the day to intertwine through your busy life is going to be the biggest game changer ever. And so that way, if you miss a workout 1 week, if you just have a focus on NEAT, and I'm going to ingrain this in your head, NEAT. If you have a focus on that, you are definitely going to reach your goals. It might take a little bit slower because we do want to train and do all of that good stuff, but you're still going to stay consistent. Your body's still going to do what it's supposed to do. And your body's a machine. So what I recommend to all of my girls always is find additional ways to move throughout your day, regardless of what you're doing. So this can be parking far away at the store, maybe when you go to the store, doing a whole lap. Like, if you know you're gonna go for one thing, just do a whole lap with the purpose of hey, I just want to walk around and maybe have a conversation with my husband if he's there with me, whatever it is. But do it for the purpose of getting your steps in, right? And you don't have to have a steps goal, but it's just thinking of ways to add that movement throughout your day without making it feel like extra work or extra things that you have to do. So that could also be walk to your mailbox, or maybe in the home, if you can't leave, walk back and forth from the from your door to wherever you sit if you work from home, and if you're taking phone calls or talking on the phone with a friend in between your shifts or on break or anything like that, do that while walking around in your house. And that's literally just enough to get more movement inside of your body or for your day.
Yeah, I think the way that you need to look at it is you need to counteract the majority of things that you do. So if you're sitting around at work a lot, if you're sitting in a chair, you might want to go for a walk, because that's the opposite of sitting, right? If you're always hunched like this, you might want to try to stand up straight,
Mhm.
do some stuff that counteracts what you're doing at home and what you don't do. Because when you stop doing that stuff and you don't counteract the stuff that you do on a daily, it starts to become detrimental to your goals and to your body, and then your posture collapses and all sorts of other stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So that's a huge one. So get your knee in.
mhm.
That's way more important than anything else, honestly. And just like try to think of ways that you can add movement.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's number one. I'm gonna start with number two. Number two is something that I talk about all the time. It's water, 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 water. When like way before I started my fitness journey, if you ask me how often I drink water, I didn't drink water that often. I most likely drink like a venti freaking caramel macchiato with like 7 shots.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see if I remember your order. Is a venti caramel macchiato with 2 pumps of espresso. Yeah, 2 shots of
Two shots.
espresso, 2 pumps of vanilla, and 2 pumps of hazelnut. Yeah.
So my order is actually still kind of the same ish, not like that. I now get just a grande
Yeah.
vanilla latte. No, I get a grande iced coffee
Mhm.
with some cream, 1 pump of classic, 1 pump of vanilla.
Yeah.
And so it has changed. It has
It has
but
evolved.
yes, it has evolved, but I'm trying to get off of coffee, which I think we'll make a podcast
Yeah,
episode
that's a really good
about
topic.
coffee
Yeah,
because I'm trying to
it's good and bad.
yeah.
It's good and bad. So
Yeah.
we'll just leave it there, and we'll
Yeah, watch out for that.
yeah.
So water. So yeah, like our muscles, our cells, literally every single tiny part inside of our body has water in it. It needs water. So the way that I described it to a client recently, it's like if you're not drinking water for a very long time, it's like a dried up lake, right? Or maybe a dried up like body of river that, flows into the ocean. Say for example, that body of river starts to dry up, right? So then it's going to be less efficient on clearing itself out using the ocean and blah 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 to keep it clean, to keep it moving how it's supposed to, like a river. And so what happens is if it stays dry, it struggles with all of that. And that's the same thing with our bodies. It's like if we dry out our bodies, and that's just like the way that I'm describing it. If we dry out our bodies, it's going to be less efficient in metabolizing. It's going to be less efficient in injury recovery. It's going to be less efficient in focus because it's also your brain. So like literally every tiny part of your body needs this to be able to move around efficiently, to be able to focus efficiently, to be able to eat efficiently, like think efficiently, like literally anything that you do efficiently.
Yeah. So your brain is I think it's over 60% water. So just think about it like that. Like I don't know if you guys ever remember when we did that experiment in high school and they stuck the egg, and then after it was like the egg, and they put it in the vinegar and it broke down the shell, right? But then they stuck the egg in syrup, and
Uh-huh.
then basically the egg, like the membrane stayed intact, but the amount of water in the egg shriveled up. And so that's what happens to your cells when you don't have enough water. If you're constantly putting sugar, your cells shrink, and if your cells shrink, proper hydration, then they're not working properly, and they're probably not getting enough electrolytes and all that other stuff that needs to, because water is not just something that you need. It's water moves nutrients through your body. It's what transports stuff. And so that it is very crucial that you have an adequate amount of water throughout the day.
Yeah.
It also helps you start up your metabolism in the morning, helps you burn calories because it's a calories drink.
Yes.
And
you have to do work for it.
You have to do work for it to move through. So it's very important to really hit your water.
Yeah. So what he hit, like about it being a nutrient mover, it's so important because a lot of us, we start a meal plan, we start something new, right? Where we have some goals. And if it's a nutrient mover and we're not drinking enough water, but we're eating the nutrients, like you're kind of cheating yourself.
Yep.
Because you're doing all of this work for nutrition, but you're not drinking the water.
So it's funny because when we talk about macronutrients, everyone thinks about the main three, right? So it's proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. But people forget alcohol. Alcohol is a macronutrient, and so is water. water is also a macronutrient, so that it is very important. It's like they need to talk about all five in all honesty, but they really don't, because
it doesn't have a caloric value.
it doesn't have a
water.
caloric value.
And then the reason, I mean, it's a macro. So when you think about it, it's macro. It's huge. It's a huge part of our diet. So that's why it's a macronutrient. So yeah, you want to drink a lot of water. Definitely the general recommendation is 1 ounce per pound of body weight.
Yep.
I drink a gallon. He drinks a gallon because we're just used to it. So if you're at like, maybe if you're thinking about it right now and you're like, okay, I'm going to start drinking more water, look at how much you're drinking now. So if you're just drinking like 10 ounces a day, definitely pick it up by like 10 ounces. Start to get up 10 ounces each week. Don't stress yourself over it, because stress is another thing that can keep you from reaching your goals, which will be a podcast for another day.
And it's actually counterintuitive to you drinking water, because if you stress over having to drink that much water, it actually starts to dehydrate you as well, because you know your mind you're stressing over it. So it's very important that we start with baby steps. Like I've mentioned it before, a baby learns how to walk by taking one step away from the couch and then going back. So
So next thing,
it's training at least one time a day or 3 times a week.
One time a week.
Oh, 1 time a week. My bad. Yeah.
Or up to 3 times a week.
Yeah, or up to 3 times. Yeah, 3 times a week. Yes.
If like you never have worked out ever in your life, or maybe you haven't worked out in a long time, like start off small. Start off with something that you can commit to. If that's 1 time a day or 1 time a week, just do that. Just try to get yourself moving, try to get your body moving.
Yeah, I think the important thing there is to just show up. If you just show up for yourself at least one time, then you can start to build from that. We talk about this because we've read the book Atomic Habits, and I love this part of the book because they mention a story about a guy who showed up to the gym for 5 minutes every day for a year and lost 100 pounds. And to some people, it's like, dude, why would I go for 5 minutes? It's like, dude, because he was developing the ability to fucking show up for himself. And if you lack the ability to show up for yourself, then you're not going to reach your goals in the first place. So it's just by taking that first step, the 5 minutes, whatever it is. They talk about, breaking your habits down to 2 minutes and then building it up from there. So if you have to start with 2 minutes, fuck it. Start with 2 minutes, then go to 3, then so on and so forth. But that's just the main thing about this is like, just start with 1 day, and then we can progress from there.
Yeah, because we try to go all out. I know, because I've been there. Like I'm the chronic previous yo-yo dieter. And so like I would set up plans for myself, like literally like 5-day plans. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. Like I had so much intention, and then the time would come and things would happen. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I missed a day. Now I can't start anymore because I was supposed to start Monday and I can't work out on this day. And it just became so complicated for no reason. So if you just tell yourself, like, I'm just going to show up. I have my girls, like, if they're struggling with gym anxiety or even just anxiety of working out in general, I'm like, hey, set aside that time, 4 p.m., whatever it is, and then just put on your tennis shoes. Like, just do that, and that's it. Like, if that's all you do that day, great. The next day, you're going to do something else, right? But it's all about just getting your body, getting your mind used to this activity.
Yep. That's good, yeah.
So next one, now that we've covered the most easiest ones, next one is food. And when we're talking about food, it's literally just protein. So if you don't know what protein is, it's gonna be your animal food. So like you're gonna get protein from chicken, steak, egg whites,
Greek yogurt,
ricotta cheese, tuna,
cottage cheese, tuna,
fish of any kind, pretty much any sort of seafood, any meat. Yeah, so anything like that. Milk. Yes. So anything coming from animal products, and then edamame is like a really good protein sourse. I'm using that right now, so I just love it because I can season it with whatever I want.
It tastes really bomb with some lemon and tajin or whatever little chile you like to put on that shit.
Yeah, so it's super delicious, but literally just prioritize protein. And how do you do that? Is you just, every time you eat, just make sure you have some sort of protein source there, and make sure it's at least like maybe 1 palm size if you're not used to eating protein, or one what is it?
What? Yeah.
One fist.
Yeah, one
One
fist.
fist. One fist or maybe two fists. So have two fists available if you only eat like twice a day because you want to get as much protein and you want to just get into the habit of it.
Yeah, it's like if you're having a fruit like an apple, like it's okay to have some yogurt with it,
Hmm.
stuff like that, because it's you need to at least be having at 1 gram per pound of body weight to maintain what you got going on and to actually influence thermogenesis, which is what happens when you start burning weight, right? So your protein is going to be one of the biggest metabolic drivers in your body because it's the most expensive. It takes 20 to 30% of it to digest the other 70 to 80. So like think about it like that. If you're actually only getting 100 grams of protein, you're really only getting 70 to 80 grams because you're using 20 to 30 to break down the other stuff and
Yeah.
build from there.
And not to mention, protein also helps with binge eating. So if you do find yourself binge eating often, it's brain saying, like, hey, I need nutrients. My body needs nutrients. Something like I need something because something's going on inside of your body. So it's like trying to recover it. And without having the protein, I described it to one of my clients like, it's think of protein as like the little ambulance man inside of your body. So anytime you have injuries, anytime you have inflammation, anytime you have something happening inside of your body that needs attention, structural attention, right? It's for structure inside of your body. The little ambulance, the little nutrients from your protein comes over to the site of damage and it repairs it, right? When you're resting. And so that's what protein is used for. And so when you're binge eating, it's because you're missing a nutrient. Your body's like crying for help and saying like, "Hey, I need this." Like there's like an emergency, like in my liver or whatever. There's an emergency, so it's like begging for nutrient. So when you're binge eating, that's what you receive. You receive like, "I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I just need something." And so you find yourself in the pantry and you're like munching on whatever you can get, whatever's close by. But in reality, if you're eating protein throughout the day and continuously filling up the little, I call it like a little drain, like a little funnel,
Mhm.
filling up your little funnel because protein drips out into your body as needed and throughout the day. And you're constantly regenerating your body. So protein is needed like 24-hour call. What is it?
Yeah,
On
it's on.
call.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah. So it's on call. And so, and it's also most satiating, so it's more satisfying. So when you're eating it, you're one, fulfilling the nutrient need, and number two, you're actually getting the signal that, hey, I'm satisfied. I have everything I need.
Yeah, I think it's very important that I touch on this because it's what are we telling our body with our food? And protein, what it does, it like she said, it's a very satiating nutrient, right? It activates your leptin in your body, which is the hormone that tells your body like, hey, we've had enough, right? So if you are not eating adequate amounts of protein, you're not getting that satiety from the foods that you're eating. So then that's what starts to binge eating because your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, picks up and it tells your body, like, hey, I'm missing something. Can I
Mhm.
get something? And then what do? Naturally, you go in the pantry and start looking for food because that's what your body does. It starts looking for nutrient in
Mhm.
places that normally for us, we don't really know where that's at. So the fact that, some people pick up a bag of chips and start eating that, it's because that's binge eating. And really what they're doing is they're looking for nutrient. That's all you're doing. So
Mhm.
if you know where to find nutrient, you can start influencing your hormones to tell your body to do other things that you want them to do, which is burn fat and lose weight in most cases.
Yes.
So
So, general recommendation 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or pound of body weight goal if you are over maybe 200 pounds, 190, kind of higher up there. So, that can be the goal for you. Some places that you can track are MyFitnessPal, just any sort of online diet journal, or even like take a notebook, your notes app, whatever. Just start listing down your food and figure out what you're eating. Yeah. So next one.
if you're eating out, what do you do?
Mhm.
And I think it's good that we touched on protein because look for protein. That is the biggest thing. And then try to find the healthier alternative to some of the foods that you would normally get. So, like, if you are getting some fries, stuff like that, like make sure, see if they have them baked. If they have baked
Mhm.
fries, that's a better alternative than getting fries cooked in oils and stuff like that. If
Mhm.
you're having a burger, get the whole wheat or whole grain, bread, because the other stuff has excess sugars and other stuff like that. What am I missing, babe?
Honestly,
Because I haven't
yeah.
eaten out in a while, so I don't know what it's like anymore.
Well, I definitely have this conversation a lot with my clients. And really, when you're eating out, you want to just definitely focus on the protein. Most restaurants will give you like not the greatest serving of protein. So you can always feel free to ask for a second serving of protein, especially if you didn't eat that much throughout the day, because you'd be surprised how many people undereat protein at a meal and they think that that's a lot of food. When in reality, you're actually just you just have an issue of balancing your plate. You're not really eating a lot, you're just eating a lot of the wrong things, right? You're eating more of things. So what you want to do is you want to double up on your protein, and then the carb, that's where you have to cut it down a little bit,
Mhm.
because carb does provide so much nutrient with so little bit. So you don't even need that much.
Mhm.
I mean, I think restaurants just have made us feel like we need so much carb, but it's literally just like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need that much carb. So always have double of your protein, and then your carb, have it half of what your protein is. And honestly, that's such a good like rule of thumb that you can use when you're out at a restaurant. For dressings, ask for them on the side. Like buns, what he said, whole grain, or if you're gluten intolerant or anything like that, try to
Gluten
get
free.
the lettuce wrapped or anything
Mhm.
like that, or separate it, make it into a salad. Like do that, but you can still have all those flavors. You can still have the yummy, like you can still have some ketchup, you can still have some
Mhm.
mustard, you can still have like the seasonings, the veggies that come on the side. Like make it fun, but just know how to balance your plate.
Yeah.
Mhm. So next one is habits. And this one's my favorite one because I really work on habits with my girls, and through my coaching, that's like literally what I focus on. And the reason why we need to make habits is because most of us, we're like 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, and we're trying to make a lifestyle change. And most of the time that lifestyle change is counteracting with the lifestyle habits that you've had those previous years. And I mean, weight gain doesn't happen in 2 days.
Mhm.
Weight gain doesn't happen in 30 days. Weight gain doesn't even happen in 6 months sometimes. Weight gain can be a result of a decade of habits that you have been nurturing for your entire life, right? And for me, for example, like it was habits that I learned since I was young, since I was little. Like drink Coke 3 times a day, like eat pan. And like, don't get me wrong, pan is not bad, tortillas aren't bad, beans aren't bad, but it's because of how we sort of saw it. And again, the balance, right? And so that was normal for me. So when I started to lose weight or start to pay attention, within a month of cutting soda, I lost 10 pounds. That
Yeah.
tells you so much because I didn't do anything else. But it's about those habits. So, in that habit of me quitting soda was the hardest thing I had ever gone through, but it's going to be the same for anything else, for getting additional movement throughout the day, for getting into the gym once a week, for honestly anything new that you're doing. Your mind is going to fight you, so you want to make it as easy as brushing your teeth in the morning. You get up, you naturally just brush your teeth, you don't think about it twice, it's just a habit. So that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I think one of the best things that you can do for you if you really want to start changing your habits is pick up the book Atomic Habits. Like
Hmm.
it's the best book. They talk about the 4 laws of habit creating. If you haven't seen them, they're on my page. You can see them there. But basically, one of the things that they mainly talk about is like make things easy to achieve. It's like we talked about earlier, the 2 minute rule. I got that from the book, and it was just like, dude, I sucked at so many things.
Yeah.
And it started because all I did was implement 2 minutes of whatever I wanted to do. And that got me going. And I mean, you can ask her. She's been the one that's been watching my transformation and how I used to be so passive about almost everything. I literally gave no care in the world about certain things, and it would piss Jen off. But because I started reading this book and addressing some of these issues and breaking the cycle of what I was taught from my childhood, I was able to make a lot of changes just by implementing something as doing something for 2 minutes. And you can also start by like I said, we've talked about this before, changing your environment, altering your environment so that it fits your habits. Because if that means that it's going to get you closer to your goals, then do so. If this means like, hey, like I may have to stop spending time with certain people as much. Not necessarily cutting these people off, but it's just like, is being with them really what's going to get me my goals? And if it's not, then, draw a line and change your environment. Do something else that is going to be productive to what you want to do. We call it auditing your life.
Yeah, yeah. And going off of that, like kind of the way that I sort of word it is like for us women, and I think I can speak for a lot of women, right? And obviously, if you're not it, that's perfectly fine. But we like to do things for others, and we love to give, and we love to just be that light in our family, and we love to be there for people. We love loyalty. We love love. And that can sometimes be like the double-edged sword. It's like we end up doing so much and putting so many people before us that we start to lose sight of what our goals are, what like our commitment to ourselves is, right? If you can't commit something to yourself, then are you loyal? You have to ask yourself that. That's like a true question that I had to ask myself that, right? Because I'm like, I'm a loyal person. I'm like, I'm a friend. I love checking up on my friends. I love checking up on my family. I love being there for my family at first at the drop of a pin, right? And then I learned the hard way, like being there for family at the drop of a pin caused me to almost go like mentally insane. And that's when I realized like, hey, like, no, I got to check myself first before I start to try to take care of others. And it's been the most amazing life change that I've ever made in my life. So that's a habit that I had to break.
I think for men, and when it comes to this, is you have to also identify that like you're a provider. Your woman, your wife, she's a multiplier. You give her something and she makes more of it. And I think when we understand that relationship that we have, is it makes it that much better. Because I've noticed that when I started helping Jen out with what she really needed, she was able to return with more. She gave the kids more energy. She gave me more time. She was able to show up for the family the way that she wanted to. And it was so helpful for her goals, because like now that I see her, it's like, dude, a whole different Jen than the one that I like, knew years ago. And I'm getting a little teary eyed because it's like, it's so true. It's like, we really need to be there and assist and help our wives. And we actually have to understand our role is to help them too. And it's not just to be here and like expect them to do fucking everything for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You're about to make me cry.
Yeah, make it a fucking habit to show up for yourself, and make it a fucking habit to show up for your loved ones too.
Yes, and that's how we'll end this episode because it's beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys have a great evening, great morning. Like conquer your day, conquer your week. You can do it. Just take these small things. I hope you took notes and are able to implement some things.
And break the fucking cycle.
Break the fucking